Alright mate, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of IMO. Today is the big one. I do this every single year. It's time for my Premier League predictions for the 2019-2020 season. Who's going to win the league? Who's going to get the top 4 spots? Who's going to be mid-table? Who is going to go down? This is what I'm saying. Yes, it is that time again. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm going to predict the league 20th to first position. I try and do this as late in the summer as possible, right before the league starts, because of obvious reasons. The transfer window still hasn't closed as I'm recording this. It's got about 24 hours left on it. So there could be some big moves that could change things. I've got a few in mind that I'm sort of allowing for in my predictions, but there could be something that comes out of left field and change things dramatically. But as things stand, these are the teams I think are going to finish in certain spots. Drop a like on the video if you're enjoying the Premier League predictions for this year. Obviously leave a comment if you agree or disagree. Let's crack on, starting off with the relegation places. Okay, starting off with 20th position. The team that I think is going to finish bottom of the table is Sheffield United. Sorry, Blades fans, but I just can't see you guys staying up. You brought back Phil Jagielka on a free transfer from Everton. Bit of a sentimental move, in my opinion. I'm not sure he's got what it takes to keep you up anymore. I think his legs might be gone. A couple of other players you brought in, like McBurney from Swansea, 17 million, unproven at the Premier League level. We've seen a lot of clubs go for lower league players this year because players are so expensive now. But I think Sheffield United needed more. There is a wild card in there. Sheffield United have brought in Ravel Morrison. I know a lot about this player. He was formerly at West Ham, formerly a prodigy at Man United before that, of course. On his day, unplayable. Could be amazing, could earn Sheffield United some much needed points, score some great goals, could also get a red card or just not turn up for training. You never know what you're going to get. Essentially, I don't think Sheffield United have made their squad strong enough to stay up, so I'm putting them in 20th. In 19th, I am going with Brighton. Brighton were a team I tipped to go down last year. I got that wrong, but this time round, I think I might be right. They got rid of Chris Hughton. You've got to be careful what you wish for when you let managers go. He kept doing the league. He was solid. Brighton have also gone out and strengthened their squad with players from lower leagues like Webster from Bristol. They've got Maupay from Brentford. But ultimately, they spent 60 million. And I don't know what on. I don't think their team's any stronger. I think this might be the end of Brighton's Premier League fairy tale. I'm tipping them to go down in 19th. In 18th, this is a tough one for me. I've gone with, perhaps controversially, Crystal Palace. Okay, now Roy Hodgson is usually a manager you can rely on not to take you down, but I think their squad might be too weak now. They've lost Wan-Bissaka, arguably their most important defensive player last season and their best defensive player. They've got a lot of money for him, but I don't see that being reinvested. Batshuayi came in on loan, scored a lot of important goals for them. He's gone. And they still might lose Zaha. If they keep Zaha, they might stay up. It might be enough, but I've got a feeling they're not going to keep him. For Palace fans' sake, I hope they've got a plan B. If they lose Zaha in the next 24 hours of the window, can they bring someone else in? But if they don't, I can't see him staying up. They brought in Jordan Ayew and Gary Cahill on a free transfer from Chelsea. I'm sure Cahill will make them a little bit more solid. But as things stand, I've tipped Palace to go down. Right, let's take a look at 17th to 11th places now. Starting off in 17th, I'll put Newcastle just avoiding the drop. Now, if Palace keeps Zaha, like I said earlier, I can see these two positions swapping. Newcastle have done some okay business, which is surprising for Newcastle. But they've lost Ayoze Perez, one of their most important players. And more importantly than that, they've lost Rafa Benitez. Steve Bruce is not a manager that inspires confidence in me. I don't think he's going to do anything that special for Newcastle. Joelinton and St Maxim, two very interesting purchases, could be players that could do something special for Newcastle. And ultimately, I am tipping them to stay up, but only narrowly. In 16th position, I'm going with Southampton. They were perilously close to the drop last year. They avoided it. I think they're going to avoid it again this year. Hassan Hüttl's first full season in charge. I'm very interested to see what Che Adams can do up front from Birmingham. Also, Danny Ings, they've made that a permanent signing. It's not a bad little strike force there. I'm not sure if they're going to use them both. I don't think their squad's unbelievable, but I think it's good enough to just about stay up. In 15th position, I'm going with newly promoted Aston Villa. You've already noticed I've only got one of the 3 newly promoted teams going down in Sheffield United. I think Villa are going to do okay. They've spent a lot of money. I'm a bit worried it could be another Fulham scenario. They've spent more than Fulham. I think this time last year, Fulham spent about 100 mil. They ended up going down. Villa have spent like 140 million. One of the players they bought in is Tyrone Mings, a player they know well. They used him last year. They made that permanent for Bournemouth. He won't take any time to settle in. They bought in Wesley for 22 million. Douglas Luiz from Man City is a player I'm very interested in seeing. A hotly tipped youngster. They've brought in a lot of players from other teams around them as well, like Heaton from Burnley, Target from Southampton. Trezeguet is an interesting purchase. Sometimes all this business can be too much business, and these players might take a long time to gel. So there is a danger they have a Fulham scenario from last year, but I know Villa really want to stay in this league. They're one of the longest serving top flight clubs. It's the league they should be in, a big club. I've got a feeling they're going to be okay. In 14th position, it's Burnley. They've brought Jay Rodriguez back in, but other than that, they haven't really done any inspiring business. Again, lots of players from lower levels. They've lost Heaton to Villa, as I mentioned earlier. There's still a chance they could lose Tarkowski, as Leicester need a centre-back. However, I think they're going to price him out of a move. Sean Dyche is pretty solid at keeping teams in the league. I don't think they're going to be a great team to watch this year, but I think he'll keep them up. In 13th position, I'm going with Watford. They've not done much business at all, which is unlike Watford. They've brought in Craig Dawson from West Brom. He's been relegated before. They've brought in a player I know pretty much nothing about in Lucky Bacchio for 18 million. Watford could go either way this year. They've got some good players that have got proven track records in the Prem, the likes of Decore and Troy Deeney, that could look after them. However, they could also deteriorate and they could be in a relegation battle. I'm meeting somewhere in the middle, putting them in 13th. In 12th, I'm going with the other newly promoted team to have a very good season back in the Prem, Norwich. In terms of money spent, they've done unbelievable business this year. They've hardly spent anything, but they've strengthened in good areas. Fairman, the goalkeeper from Schalke, that is a good addition. Dermich, another player from the Bundesliga on a free transfer. Seen him play for Switzerland quite a lot. Decent striker. They've got Patrick Roberts on loan from Man City. And obviously they won the league last year in the Championship. So you'd like to think their team would be in okay shape already. I could get this one drastically wrong, but I'm tipping Norwich to do pretty well this season. And finally, for the bottom half, in 11th place, I'm going with Bournemouth. I love Eddie Howe as a manager. Bournemouth always looks safe under his charge. They got in Billing from the relegated Huddersfield. They brought in Kelly from Bristol. Dan Juma is a player I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. They've done well at offloading players that are surplus to requirements, the likes of Mings and Mousset. They're not really doing anything for Bournemouth recently. But what does that mean for their position in the league? Again, Bournemouth could go either way this year, but I'm always confident in Howe keeping Bournemouth in the league. 11th might be a little bit too high, but based on their previous performances in other seasons, they usually have like good spells and bad spells throughout the league, but I think they're going to be okay. Moving on, let's look at 10th to 7th place. In 10th place, I'm going with Leicester. They've lost Harry Maguire, which is a huge loss. They've made Tielemans a permanent signing. He was there last year, though. Ayoze Perez from Newcastle is good. They've weakened a rival team, and they've given themselves another option going forward. But they haven't yet, as I record this, replaced Harry Maguire. That's huge. I think 10th will still be a decent finish for Leicester. Brendan Rodgers, full season in charge. I don't know what you think, Leicester fans. Do you think you can do better than 10th? Let me know in the comments below. But I'm going with 10th for Leicester. In 9th position, I'm going with my boys, West Ham. Always a difficult one for me. In the past, I've probably been a little bit overly optimistic. Maybe I'm doing that again here. I think 9th is about where we belong in the league right now. And I do think we've bought well. Fornals looks to be a real player. In the under-21 Euros this summer, he was double decent. Likewise, Haller, that is how you say it by the way, Sebastian Haller, the French striker. He looks very good. We had to replace Arnautovic, of course. He wanted out, and it's a shame to lose him. And it is a big loss, let's face it. He's been our top goal scorer for a couple of years. But I do think we might have got a long-term replacement in Haller. We've done well to streamline our squad a little bit. Getting rid of guys that have been taking up wages, like Andy Carroll, who barely plays. Obiang's gone. Nasri's gone. Adrian, I'm a big fan of Adrian, but he was second choice to Fabianski. He's now gone to Liverpool as their second choice. And Lucas Perez also out. Lanzini being back from injury is huge. We basically didn't have him last year. He could be a game changer for us, as could Jack Wilshere. I'm not counting on Jack Wilshere playing a lot. I know it's a risky strategy. But if he plays, centre-mid partnership of Wilshere and Rice, I mean, you're going to probably mug me off in the comments for this, but that could be an England midfield partnership. Added to the likes of Felipe Anderson is still there. Yarmolenko also back from injury. We basically lost him all of last season. We've still got Chicha. We've still got Antonio. Defence may be a little bit of a question mark, but I really like the Diop and Balbuena partnership at the moment. Fabianski has a bit of an injury, hopefully not too long term. I think 9th for West Ham is realistic, isn't it? In 8th position, I'm going with Everton. Now, this was tricky. I was torn between Everton and the team that I'm going to predict in 7th in a second. Everton have done great business this window. Moise Keane is a very good addition up front. Young player, could be there for a long time, could score a bag load of goals for Everton. And they needed a striker. I don't think Tosin was the right fit for them. They've got great creative players around the striker position. They're still trying to add to that. They're still trying to bring in Zaha from Palace, which would have huge ramifications on both Everton's season and Palace's season. They made the Gomez loan permanent. They brought in Fabian Delph, who I think is a good player for Everton. Didn't think he was quite at the level that Man City are playing at, so I see why they got rid of him. But Everton, he could do well. I'm probably pronouncing this guy wrong, but they brought in Gabamin as well. Lossell from Huddersfield, the goalkeeper. They got rid of a few players like Jagielka, wasn't really playing. Lookman Fantastic prospect, but wasn't really playing, was on loan last year. But Idrissa Gueye is the player they're really going to miss, who's gone to PSG. They're going to need some other players to step up in the centre midfield area. With Everton, they often do great business in windows. Sometimes they do too much business and it's too much to all fit together in one season. I think they're going to be fine in 8th, but I think in 7th is going to be Wolves, who've got a bit more consistency in their squad. They made the Jimenez loan permanent, the Dendoncker loan permanent. They brought in Patrick Cutrone from AC Milan, a very exciting striker. And I think they're going to continue where they left off last year. I will put one caveat on it though. They are in Europe this year. That could hurt them a lot. You know, the distraction of Europe often does affect teams' form in the league. So this one could end up being one where Wolves drop down the league a little bit if they have any kind of run in Europe. But I'm going to back Wolves and I'm going to give them a chance. I'm going to say 7th for Wolves, just outside the top 6. Let's have a look at the top 6. In 6th position, I'm going with Chelsea. Now, I don't want to hate on Chelsea. I don't want to give them any stick, right? I like they're giving Frank Lampard a chance, if they give him a chance. I hope they give him time. He's come into a club where he's a legend with no ability to buy players. You've got to just write this season off and say don't get relegated and see what happens. If they do that, I'm very excited for Chelsea's next few seasons. Frank Lampard is a player that believes in youth. He's used the likes of Mason Mount on loan at Derby last year where he was in charge. He's seen what Tammy Abraham can do for Villa in the same league. He's bringing these young English players through now, perhaps because he hasn't got much choice, because he can't sign players, but still, I think it's an opportunity for Chelsea finally to make use of their brilliant academy system. And also, they've brought in a lot of players who've been out on loan, players that we might never have seen play for Chelsea again, the likes of Batshuayi, the likes of Bakayoko. They may well get a chance to prove themselves finally. They managed to get the Pulisic transfer over the line because they did that before the ban. Likewise, the Kovacic becoming a full-time player from a loan deal was also done before the ban came in. So the team's looking okay for 6th place. It's just the fact that they've lost Hazard. That's why I can't give them any more than that, because he's such an important part of their team. Hudson-Odoi will play a lot more, and I think he's got a bright future, but he's not Eden Hazard. You know, in terms of the strikers, Morata and Higuain, they're gone. There's going to be more emphasis on maybe Abraham, maybe Batshuayi, probably Giroud to score the goals. I think there's a world where Chelsea could finish higher than 6th. There's also a world where they could drop a bit lower. They're in the Champions League as they won the Europa League. Can this squad compete in the Champions League? I'm not so sure. But I'm fascinated to see how Frank Lampard does, and I'm going to be keeping a close eye on their progress. In 5th position, missing out on top 4 narrowly. Difficult one this, but I'm going with Arsenal. I rate that they've gone out there and made some decent signings. Pepe is a very interesting addition. Ceballos in on loan from Real Madrid. I can't wait to see what he can do. But they've lost Aaron Ramsey. They've lost Koscielny. I mean, their defence was poor anyway. Koscielny is gone and I don't think he was good enough to stay, but they haven't replaced him. Mustafi is a player they want to get rid of, but who are they bringing in? They're still trying to get people like Kieran Tierney. You've got the 20-year-old Upamecano from RB Leipzig they're being linked with. It's going to cost them like 50, 60 million. I just can't see them buying him. So right now, I'm worried about their defence. I'm fascinated by their attack though. Pepe, Aubameyang, Lacazette. Can they get Mesut Ozil working with these guys? Iwobi's getting better all the time. Are they going to give some youngsters like Reece Nelson a chance this year? I still think they've got the same old problem they've had for a long time, which is a bit of a weakness in the heart of midfield and not a good enough defence for a team that wants to challenge like Arsenal fans do. They're being linked with Coutinho. I mean, they could bring him in. That could be massive. It would hurt Ozil massively in terms of game time. And they're paying Ozil a lot of money, but it would make their team stronger. But it's the defence they should be focusing on at this point in the window, in my opinion. But as things stand, without them really reinforcing that defence, I'm tipping Arsenal to miss out on top 4. Sorry. In 4th position, back in the top 4, Manchester United. Now, Man United are probably the most talked about team this transfer window. We all knew they were going to do lots of business, and they've done a fair bit. Not maybe as much as I would have thought. There's still a chance they could lose Lukaku. It looks more likely than not. And there's still a chance they could lose Pogba, although I think they want to keep him. They've already lost Herrera to PSG. Valencia has left. However, they've bought in Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. They've spent big money, 130 million across the two, but it's made their defence younger, better, and a bit more English, which I don't think is that important, but it's interesting from an English fan perspective that they're getting more English players in the heart of the team. They brought in the Welsh winger, James, who was a little bit of a left field purchase when they announced him as their first signing of the window, but he seems absolutely rapid and he could do well for them, particularly if they're going to push Rashford inside more, or maybe Martial, but they're going to be playing someone else up front as it seems Lukaku's going to leave. There's still a chance they could get Bruno Fernandes to reinforce the midfield. There's a very good chance they could get Christian Eriksen from Spurs, which would be a fascinating transfer. And if you're looking a little bit more outside the box, could they get Neymar? I'm just thinking he wants to leave PSG. Would he do it? That would be such a big move. I don't think the Gareth Bale move is going to happen. That seems like it's dead in the water. But Neymar to Man United would really turn some heads. I can't talk about potential transfers though because they haven't happened yet. I've got to predict based on the squads they currently have. But I think thanks to the Maguire addition and with Pogba staying as he currently is, Man United could be good enough to get top 4. In third place, I'm going with Spurs, okay? They ended up finishing 4th last year. I think they're going to get back into 3rd. I really like some of the business they've done, and Ndombele in the middle could be revolutionary for them. Trippier's gone, Llorente's gone, Eriksen could be leaving, but what I like about this is it doesn't look like they're just going to lose Eriksen and just drift quietly into the night. They're going, right, we're going to lose Eriksen. We're now linked with Lo Celso, we're linked with Coutinho, and mostly Dybala. If they get Dybala in from Juve, that is going to be very interesting for Spurs. I've got no doubt that if they do lose Eriksen, they're going to replace him with at least one like-for-like kind of player, so I don't think they're going to be too weakened. They seem to be a little bit more prepared to splash the cash this year, maybe off the back of their Champions League final. They feel like they're ready to kick on. They've managed to hold on to Kane, which I think is key. As long as they replace Eriksen, I see him in the top 4. In this case, I'm giving them 3rd. Now it's the big one. Who do I think is going to win the league? There's only 2 teams left, of course, Liverpool and Man City. And I'm not going to win any awards for being a genius here. I'm going with Liverpool to finish 2nd. I just think Liverpool have been a little bit lucky last few years to not have any long-term injuries to any of their front 3 because they aren't as strong without them. Now, I know Origi stepped up big time in the Champions League last year when Salah was injured, but I don't think they've got the squad depth, particularly in the midfield and going forward, that Man City do have. The defence is great. Liverpool defence is amazing, which is something we could not say a few years ago. They deserve a lot of credit for reinforcing that, but I think they're just going to be a little bit off City, who are a joke. It could well come down to the games between Liverpool and City again, like it did last year. They are going to be huge matches, some of the biggest games in Premier League history. But I think City are going to at least draw them, if not come out on top. Liverpool haven't really done any business, to be honest. The players that have left permanently, like Ings and Moreno, they won't get anywhere near the team anyway. But they haven't bolstered. You could argue they didn't need to. They just won the Champions League. But sometimes when you just win something like that, you need to keep the squad hungry, competing for places. And to not change it at all could end in Liverpool falling a little bit short. I still think they're going to have a great season. I don't think they're going to push City as close as they did last year, though. I could see them winning a cup, maybe doing well in Europe again. It's all going to come down to how much Man City prioritise the Premier League over the Champions League. So let's talk about Man City, the team not have tipped to win the league. They've bought in Angelino. They bought him back, actually. He's an old Man City player. They bought in Rodri in the midfield. That could mean Fernandinho plays a little bit less or plays a bit more in centre-back where they've lost Vincent Kompany. Delpha's gone as well. He actually got a fair bit of game time with certain injuries last year at left-back at centre-mid, but Zinchenko's made that spot his own. Going to be the last season for David Silva. He could go out with a bang. And the bit of business which hasn't been confirmed as I'm filming this video, but I expect to be done, is João Cancelo coming in from Juventus, Danilo going the other way, giving Kyle Walker some decent competition at fullback. City haven't done loads of business either, to be fair, but they've just had close to a perfect Premier League season. Did they need to? For the same reasons I feel Liverpool needed to. They needed to do a little bit of business, sure, to keep people hungry, but I think Rodri coming in might have done that. I'm assuming they're going to keep Sané, who's been linked to Bayern Munich for a long time. But as things stand, with the squads that I've got at my disposal right now to make this video, I'm going with Man City to win the league again for a 3rd time in a row, which only a handful of teams have done, including Huddersfield. Did you know that, by the way? Huddersfield won the top flight of English football 3 years in a row. It's a long time ago, but fair play to them. But they are my predictions, guys. 20th to 1st. I've said it. I'm sure a lot of you disagree with them. That's fine. That's cool. Leave me a comment below and let me know why. Have I got any you think are going to be drastically wrong? You're talking more than 3, 4, 5 places adrift from where I predicted them. I want to hear from you. Drop a like on the video if you're excited for the new season. Make sure you follow #United, by the way. I'm wearing this shirt for a reason, because today, as I'm filming this, is the first day of our new season in the Essex Senior League, the 9th tier of English football. So make sure you keep up to date with all our progress. Subscribe to the channel for lots more football videos coming back to Spencer FC very soon. I'll see you in another video in the future. Until then, don't go changing.